Saint Valentine was a really interesting priest in Rome who gave his life. Hi, Christy. Saint Valentine gave his life. And so, look, I even made notes. Maybe I'll stream this live tomorrow. And it's cute. Usually my notes when I speak, they're like way too typed out and have too much information. So you're just getting a sneak peek. But there was a secret to, hi, Shara, a secret to his power, a secret to I'm going to talk about his power, the problem, and the promise. And some of the secrets that we can learn are, here's part of the legend. Like what would make us legendary? And really, I want to share most of this over in the Built to Win Club. So hopefully, thanks, Krista. Hopefully, you belong in the Built to Win Club, because then I'll start making more organized and better looking videos. But hi, Brandy. So these are our notes. Business secrets from St. Valentine. The secret to his power was this fearlessness regarding death. And I've always mentioned how self-preservation absolutely kills us. And the gospel is full of this invitation to come and die. And, you know, we're created and wired to dominate, because God created us. He said, let us make man in our image and let them have dominion in the earth. And that's in our DNA to dominate our circumstances. But the resurrection power that requires, you know, it's resurrection power that lifts us above the curse of the law and the curse of the fall, because that power required Jesus dying for us, right? Because before Jesus made the sacrifice, we're all under a curse. And the curse was broken by his life. And until we see ourselves, you know, laying down our life, then we stay in that cursed place of self-preservation. And so the first secret really is knowing that you've been set free from the fear of death. So Hebrews talks about how Jesus conquered death, and his death set free everybody who all their life were held bondage to the fear of death. On some level, we're all held bondage by a fear of death. And so that's why, you know, we look at these saints who were martyrs, and that's how they became saints usually. And it's so anti the Western American way, right? In our mind, the gospel would be like, hey, receive Jesus and become powerful. And really, we skip the whole New Testament gospel that is come and die. And so when the Apostle Paul says, I want to know Christ and the power of his resurrection. All of us want that. I do. Hi, Susan. Hi, Elaine. I want to know Christ and the power of his resurrection. I do. But that only comes, like, we never like that second part of that verse that says, and the fellowship of sharing in his sufferings, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow to attain to the resurrection of the dead. You know, we don't know the power of Christ. So until we're free from self-preservation, free from this fear of dying. And part of that's knowing your personality type. Like, I know what feels like death to my personality type, and it causes a lot of problems, right? I have this fear of feeling trapped in, you know, you study the Enneagram or these different things. I made the joke last week. Oh my God, I just paid $60 to hate myself for the Enneagram to put in writing everything I already hate about myself. It's really brutal. In fact, and Ian Cron, who wrote the book, The Road Back to You, he says, usually type 7s and type 4s, they love being the type that they are. They love finding this out. I'm like, oh gosh, not me. Hi, Krista. But you need to know what death looks like to you so that you can set yourself free from the fear of death. So for St. Valentine, that was a big, big secret to becoming a legend. We don't become legendary and outlive our lives by living according to our fear of death. Whatever death looks like to you, including have your head cut off. I am a 7, Krista. That's why I'm fun and apparently a crappy follower througher. And if I sin, my sin, Stacy, apparently, I read this thing about myself on the Enneagram that says, and your weakness is gluttony. And I had been like fasting the whole month, not eating any sugar. And I'm like, oh my God, I have a weakness. I ate 3 cookies. So that sucks. You should not speak. Part of me is like, it takes no faith to say what's bad. Krista, you are too. Oh, no wonder we're soulmates. 7's like other 7s. Hi, Terry. So anyhow, I thought this is good when it talks about the wing 6 and the wing 8, because then I should really embrace those self-concepts. And when you know what dying, like we're free from the fear of death, right? The Bible says, for you died and your life is hidden with Christ in God. And then when Christ, who's your life, appears, you'll also appear with him in glory. So, picture that. Like if, I don't know, I don't have a business card. Pretend this is you. You died and your life is hidden with Christ in God. And then when Christ, who is your life, appears, you'll also appear with him in glory. And so part of, I know it's confusing. So part of the secret to being powerful is being free from the fear of death. That's like why Navy SEALs and the warrior personalities that we love so much, why they're very successful, because they become they're free from the fear of death and focused on having that person next to them stay safe, right? So the secret to power, I'm giving away my whole talk today. The secret to power is a lot of that. Freedom from fear of death. And when we just can see ourselves already dead, then it's a lot less to be clamoring for. Hi, Cheryl. And so Saint Valentine had no fear of death, obviously, because he went ahead and gave his life for what he believed in. So the second thing is, what's the problem that you're willing to give your life for? What's the problem in the people? The problem in the people that you'd be willing to lay that life down. So in his case, he had this faith in God, right? And one of the problems was that the emperor Claudius had banned marriages. And so because marriages were illegal, because there's a time of war and they wanted the soldiers to go off to war and not be married, and maybe people were into polygamy or whatever, and St. Valentine, he's taken a stand for the kingdom. And so he's like secretly marrying couples for love so they can have a godly marriage, and maybe the men don't get sent off to war. There's a lot of conjecture around, of course, the whole story. But that problem, he was willing to be imprisoned for that. That meant so much to him to solve the problem of these couples not being able to be married in the eyes of God. He was willing to die for it. And so he was found out and he was put in prison and he was tortured, and then he was eventually decapitated. But before so this is a question for you. What problem are you willing to lay your life down for? Like, what stand are you wanting to take that, wow, because we're talking business secrets from him. What problem am I willing to solve? What's that thing out there that when you know somebody is suffering with it, that you're like, no, don't suffer with that. I can help you. There's something that we all have. Some people call it a burden of responsibility. Like, you can't not help that. And so for St. Valentine, part of it included not letting people get married. So that's powerful. And then he was arrested and beaten and all that. But before he was killed, one of the jailer's daughters was blind. And the jailer had a name. I forget what it is. But the St. Valentine prayed for his daughter, and she received her sight. She was totally healed. And it was transformative, of course, and even that jailer got born again and started serving God. And so that is part of knowing what we carry. Like, do you know what you carry? Do you know that, like, once you've died, to this, hi Doug, once you have died to this need for self-preservation and this need to protect your own life, then you have that power, in that resurrection power. And so then you're able to know that you carry the kingdom with you. Even when going after that call puts you in a dangerous place, you're able to carry the kingdom. And like he did right there in the jail, bring life and bring healing and bring the kingdom. And so that is a good business question for you. What problem moves you so much? What problem moves you so much? You're called to solve it. And then, what promise do you make? I said promise because I like how it starts with P. But, you know, he was making a promise that if you serve God and you come in the kingdom, that you will live forever. And so the promise is partly John 3:16, right? That God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him would not perish, like die forever, but have everlasting life, have the God kind of life, not just a time, not just a quantity of life, but a quality of life. He would have Zoe, Greek word, Z-O-E. He would have the Zoe kind of life. That is the God kind of life, abundant life. That is the promise of John 3:16. And I like to think that as business professionals, we want to be able to succinctly communicate our promise. Hi, Elaine and Charlene. Wow. So then the legend also of St. Valentine is then before he died, he wrote a note to that jailer's daughter who he had seen healed of blindness. And he wrote, "From your Valentine." So he's able to concisely communicate. So a good secret for us as professionals is to know what promise we make. So who are we willing to love so much that we lay our life down for them? What's the problem that we can solve with such urgency and with such conviction that we're willing to do whatever it takes, you know, to see people set free? Even if it cost us everything, or, you know, and then in business, you just want to be able to know that you're giving more value than you're taking in money. That will always let you be successful. You're giving more than you're taking in money. And so how can you do that? How can I be more valuable? How can I deliver more value? How can I deliver the kingdom where I am? And then what promise? What's the promise that I'm making? What's your business promise? So Elaine is on here, and she teaches art, and creativity is one of the cores of my promise about helping you turn panic to prosperity. And oh my gosh, she's amazing. She helps you unlock whole new levels of art and creativity when it comes to her art lessons. What promise? What promise can you make and keep? Just in life in general. What promise can you make? And then how can you succinctly communicate your promise that it would maybe fit on something little? So, whoops, this is going to be what I'm having my folks fill out. I love, who's your who? Who's the people? Who's the people that you want to serve? Who's the people you can lay your life down for? I love these people so much. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's, I mean, you know, if you're not talking about business, but I love these people so much that I will do this. I'll do this. Man, I'll make Facebook live videos when I feel like the camera's so close that all I am is a big nose. And I'm self-conscious and my thing's crooked and, you know, but I'm willing to show up and show up some more, show up some more. But what am I willing to do? I'm willing to take quite a bit of the money they give me and invest it back into them. But I don't know. You need to know. I love so much that I will do blank so they can, you know, do what you promise. So they can experience joy instead of anxiety, so that they can have their stress turn into strength. Like for me, it always is probably coming back to helping people turn their stress into strength and their panic into prosperity, so that they can win on the inside. They can have faith and and understand spirit, soul, and body to win on the inside. Because I feel like if you win the whole world, but you're ridden with stress, that's not winning. So my promise is I can help you turn all that around. But you need to know, what's your promise? I want to help so-and-so so much that I will blank so they can. And so then, no, now I will do this. So I had to draw this on graph paper, but my friend's doing it on her little Procreate app so we can print it out. And I want to know, for you, when it comes to like fear of death, what's that mean for you? What kind of thing do you have to really overcome to move forward? Or how does it comfort you to know that you're hidden with Christ and you consider yourself dead already? What problem do you solve? And who do you solve it for? And what promise are you making about it? So, and who do you love so much that you can do all that? I'd love to hear it. So, maybe I will even stream that live tomorrow. I'd be crazy, but it'll be long, and it's at the crack of dawn in Brentwood. But Elaine, you should come. You live really close to where I'm speaking. 6:45 at Brentwood Baptist Church, because they host the Christian Business Leaders Roundtable. And I just want to say that I love you, and I'm praying for you. If you are watching this video at all, and you've watched this far, then I am a fan of you, and I appreciate